Hey, you think I don't know about YouTube? Well, I do. With today's story, you'll laugh, you'll learn, and you'll remember where you come from and recognize where you are going. The elders say, what the old sees while sitting, a young cannot see even from the top of a tree. So come now, listen well and let the story speak to your spirit.
In the highlands of Ethiopia, where the rugged Simian mountains rose like the spines of ancient dragons, and the mist from the valleys drifted like the whispers of spirits, there lived two brothers in a village carved from red earth and sun-baked stone. The elder brother, Mekonnen, was broad-shouldered and steady, with eyes like dark coffee that reflected patience and thought. The younger, Tesfaye, was nimble and clever, his mind darting like a sparrow among the trees, though often restless with dreams too large for the narrow paths of their village. They were sons of Abebe, a man who tilled his fields with hands calloused by both toil and kindness, and whose stories, sung in soft Amharic, filled the night air with the smell of teff and the distant music of kra. The brothers lived simply, but their life was shaped by the rhythm of the land. They rose with the sun, its amber light glinting across the jagged peaks, and they walked the soil their father had loved, planting barley, maize, and teff, nurturing it as if the earth itself were their kin. Their mother, now gone many seasons past, had left behind a warmth in the hearth that pulsed through the house even in her absence, and Abebe had instilled in them a respect for truth and the understanding that greed was a shadow that could devour even the strongest hearts. One morning, as the mist rolled from the mountains and kissed the valley in silver foam, Mekonnen and Tesfaye found a curious thing in their field. Where the soil met the stream that sank down from the mountains, a hole lay half buried in the mud, glinting in the sunlight as if the sun itself had forged it. Its handle was carved with strange, intricate patterns that shimmered like the scales of a fish in water, and its blade was gold, though not the crude gold of coin, but a living metal that seemed to drink the sunlight and return it richer. The brothers stared at it, hearts pounding, for it was said in old village tales that the earth sometimes gave gifts, but only to those whose hearts were true. Many a man, driven by greed, had found riches in the soil, only to have them turn to dust or ash in his hands. Mekonnen, whose mind measured consequence, said the whole must be examined carefully, while Tesfaye, eyes bright with desire, imagined the wealth it could bring. Yet the whole lay there, silent, heavy with promise, as if waiting for them to choose what kind of men they would become. They carried it to their home, and as they cleaned it, they noticed the carvings glowed faintly in the moonlight, humming with a soft vibration that made the walls of their house pulse like a heartbeat. That night, while they slept, the hoe whispered to them in dreams, a voice like wind over high grasses, telling them that it could make barren land fertile, that it could summon rain or call forth crops from dry soil with a single sweep. Yet it also warned of imbalance, of using its power for greed, for the earth knew the hearts of men, and deception left scars deeper than stone. The next morning, they tested the hoe in a patch of dry, stubborn soil. Mekonnen dug steadily, and to their astonishment, the ground opened to dark, rich earth, and shoots sprouted instantly where none had been before. Tesfaye, with a gleam in his eye, wanted to take it further, to claim fields beyond their village, to sell their bounty to faraway traders. Mekonnen cautioned patience, telling his brother that the land could sustain them, but only if tended with wisdom, not avarice. Days turned to weeks, and under the touch of the Golden Hoe, their modest plot flourished. Barley swelled with strength, maize reached for the sky like wooden towers, and teff grew thick and golden, the villagers whispering that the brothers were blessed by the spirits of the mountains themselves. Word of their good fortune spread, and men from neighboring villages came to gaze upon the Golden Hoe, each heart whispering its own desire. Some tried to steal it under cover of darkness, but the hoe resisted, slipping from their grasp or sinking into the soil as if the earth itself rejected dishonesty. It was then that envy found its way into their lives, not from outsiders, but from within. Tesfaye's dreams had grown heavy with visions of wealth, palaces, and influence. He began to resent the slow rhythm of patience that Makonnen held dear. He whispered to himself that the Golden Hoe was theirs to command, that their fate could be rewritten with ambition, that the land beneath the golden sun could serve their desire rather than their humility. Yet, Makonnen remained the calm anchor, reminding his brother that the earth would not be fooled, that honesty and care were more precious than riches. One dusk, under the orange haze of sunset, Tesfaye took the hoe and journeyed to the highlands alone. He sought to claim the fields beyond their village, to plant crops not for sustenance, but for profit. Makonnen, sensing the change in his brother, followed, calling out his name through the thinning fog, but Tesfaye did not hear. In the fields atop the cliffs where the air was thin and the wind spoke in harsh tones, Tesfaye swung the hoe greedily, and for a time the soil yielded, bursting with an unnatural abundance. Crops rose like towers, golden and green, reaching far beyond imagination. But soon the air grew heavy with an unnatural stillness. The crops began to wither in the sun, their roots shriveling, the leaves curling to dust. The river that ran below the cliff slowed to a trickle, and the mist that fed the highlands faltered. Tesfaye watched in panic as the Golden Hoe vibrated violently, a voice like thunder echoing in his mind, warning that the earth could not be deceived. The land had not been taken, it had been asked, and the balance broken by ambition alone.
Makonnen arrived, breathless, hands extended not with anger, but with pleading. He told Tesfaye that the earth is a mirror of the heart, and that greed and impatience turn blessings to ashes. Tesfaye, eyes wide with fear and shame, understood for the first time the depth of his folly. He tried to return the hoe to the soil, but it would not settle. It lifted from his hands, glowing fiercely, and then a wind swept the highlands, carrying the hoe into the air. The brothers watched as it rose like a bed of gold, twisting in the sky before plunging into a hidden ravine. Tears streaked Tesfaye's face as Makonnen took him into his arms, holding him against the chill of evening. The younger brother whispered apologies that the wind stole, and the elder whispered assurances, for love and unity still bound them stronger than any mistake. Together, they descended the cliffs, the land now quiet, the lessons etched deep into their hearts. In the following days, the villagers came to see the brothers' fields, which, though no longer miraculously abundant, were still rich and fruitful. Makonnen and Tesfaye walked together, side by side, planting, watering, and tending. The Golden Hoe had gone, yet it left behind a deeper gift, the understanding that the soil and the heart both needed care, honesty, and love to thrive. Tesfaye's ambitions did not vanish, but were tempered by wisdom, and Makonnen's patience had become a steady lighthouse guiding them both. Then came a festival, the season when the rains were gentle and the mountains called the people to dance and drum under the wide Ethiopian sky.
The brothers, carrying baskets of teff and maize, joined their village, and as the drums beat in time with the pulse of the earth, they sang songs their father had taught them, songs of gratitude and unity. The villagers listened, some with tears in their eyes, for they knew the brothers had learned the lesson that had long been whispered by their ancestors. Deception and greed may rise like smoke, but they vanish with the wind, leaving only truth and love to endure. In the quiet that followed, when the drums had fallen silent and the stars glimmered like scattered diamonds over the mountains, Mekonnen and Tesfaye walked the fields under the silver gaze of the moon. Tesfaye spoke of dreams now tempered with patience, of ambitions that would serve not just themselves but the village, and of gratitude for a brother who had never let him fall alone. Mekonnen, with eyes soft and steady, replied that the land, like a brother, gives to those who care for it with honesty, and that the deepest riches are the bonds of love and unity. Years passed, and the tale of the two brothers spread beyond their village, whispered by travelers and merchants who marveled at the lessons learnt in the highlands. The Golden Hoe was never seen again, though some swore it occasionally gleamed in the river at dawn or in the sunlight on the mountains, a reminder that the earth rewards hearts that are true. Mekonnen and Tesfaye grew older, and when Abebe's time came to join the ancestors, the brothers carried forward not just the land, but the spirit of his teachings, that deception and greed never endure, that unity and brotherly love are stronger than any treasure, and that wisdom grows where patience and care meet the soil.
Even as the mountains changed with wind and rain, even as the mists shifted and the rivers sang new songs, the story of the brothers endured. Children would gather at the village edge, where the barley and teff swayed in the golden sunlight, and elders would tell them that a hoe made of gold had once taught a lesson in truth, that two brothers had once stood together against greed, and that the land itself could heal hearts as well as bodies. In the shadow of the Simeon peaks, where the clouds gathered like silk and the valleys breathed the scent of wildflowers, Mekonnen and Tesfaye's bond became legend. They walked side by side, laughed beside the fires at night, and honored the earth with every seed sown. And though the Golden Hoe was gone, its spirit remained in the swaying crops, in the songs sung at harvest, in the echo of the mountains, and in the hearts of all who remembered that honesty and love, like the rivers and rains of Ethiopia, cannot be stolen, cannot be betrayed, and will always return to nurture those who honor them. Even now, when the wind whistles through the highlands and the mist curls over the cliffs, villagers say that the brothers can be seen walking together, hands linked, their laughter mingling with the murmur of the streams. The land responds to them, tender and abundant, and the Golden Hoe, though hidden, watches from the heart of the earth, a silent guardian of the lessons learned, that unity and love are the true treasures of life, and that no deception, no matter how shiny, can ever outshine the bond of two hearts walking the same path. Thus the tale is carried in the songs, in the dances, in the stories told by the firesides, a tale not merely of gold, but of the enduring richness of brotherhood, of wisdom that tempers desire, and of the sacred trust between man and earth, where honesty and truth prevail, and where love, once sown, blooms eternal.
My dear ones, this is where our story ends for now. But tell me, what did your heart feel as you listened? Share your thoughts in the comment,
You know Grandma loves to hear from you. And don't forget, press that subscribe button, like the story, and ring the little bell so that every time I come back here, you will be the first to join me. Until then, may your paths be safe, fruitful, and peaceful. Remember, keep your heart warm, your spirit curious and kind.